Welcome back to the Skinema podcast. This is episode 7, where today we're going to be doing two new film releases reviews today. We'll be talking about him, and we'll also be talking about Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another. But if you're watching right now, you can obviously see that my camera is off. I wanted to surprise Jathan today with a little caution related to one of the films we're reviewing today. So if you're ready, Jathan, I'm going to be revealing it in 3, 2, 1. So I wanted to dress as DiCaprio's character from One Battle After Another, Bob Ferguson today. I thought it would be something quick and easy and cool to do for the episode.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, the robe's a little bit wrong color. His was more red, but I tried my best. I thought this was pretty easy and pretty quick to do, so I just wanted to have a little bit fun with it today because I'm very excited to talk about One Battle After Another today. But of course, Jathan, how you been? What you been watching? What's going on?
Well, I just want to know if you have a light skinned daughter that I don't know about yet.
I do not. No, no, sir. And, hopefully not for a very long time. But yeah,
Nah, I'm good. Let's see. What have I been watching? Oh yeah, one of your favorites, The Invisible Man.
yes, I did see that.
Mm-hmm. You have that at like a 5, right?
4.5, but I guarantee you upon my next rewatch, it will go to a 5 for sure. I really
Okay.
like it.
Um, yeah. Been prepping for Halloween, just stacking up the horror movies lately with
Mhm.
The Ring and The Invisible Man.
I still haven't
Um,
seen The Ring.
it's pretty good. You probably have like a couple clips.
Definitely, no, I know I've seen clips, but in full, not even close.
I feel like you have like seen bits and pieces of this movie because I definitely did from like being on the internet in the 2000s. Like there's a lot that's like referenced here, I guess.
Yeah. No, I mean, definitely clips I know I have. But I will say that, I mean, we're gonna be doing a whole horror episode down the road of our favorite horror films, but I'm very new to horror in the sense that I was just scared to watch a lot of them. In all honesty, I never really was big into horror until I started
Mm-hmm.
really getting into films the last couple of years. But The Ring is definitely one that I'll try to check out this year because it's pretty iconic. But
Yeah, I've been doing my research into horror movies lately because of next week's episode. But that is weird because when I was looking at my own profile and I was like looking at the genres, I was like really shocked by like how little horror films came up. And I guess I'm more of a thriller guy than a horror person. So that's something. I feel like I've seen more horror movies though, but I guess I'm wrong on that.
oh, Letterboxd's genres suck too. They're not
Mm-hmm.
good at deciphering sometimes with movies, but
Yeah, because I think One Battle After Another was labeled as a thriller, and that like I wouldn't really consider to be a thriller. But other than that, I finally hit 800 films on Letterboxd. So
I didn't even recognize that. Congrats.
yeah,
That's a big.
180 this year too, like easily the most I've watched. And I was
Yeah.
just thinking the other day, like if Letterboxd is making me more influenced to watch more movies in this podcast, of course, or it's just like me being more interested, I guess.
And it might even be more than 180 because if you rewatched anything, it doesn't get added to that
It
count.
doesn't.
Mm-mm. So I think you've already seen Cars a couple times this year, right?
About like 3 or 4, like maybe 5 or 6, 6 or 7. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, I know that count. That just counts for each individual watch, but yeah, I'm sure you probably have closer to 200. I'm guessing.
wow. I'm
Yeah. Go for it.
Words can't describe it. Like I'm just happy to be named up there with film psychopaths such as Nick's Movies Corner. I mean, what do you say?
I don't know. Last year, I think you were in the low hundreds, which is still a ton. Like if you really break that down, that's like, I don't know, what, almost two and a half movies a week, which is a good amount. But yeah, I remember last year when we were actually seeing the Brutalist, I remember you pulled up your stats because that was like the first week of January when Letterboxd releases their stats, and you were at like 120-ish, 130-ish, I think, and we still have 4 more months. Well, 3.5 months. So you'll probably
Yeah,
be,
mentally I've been trying to like tell myself like we're gonna hit 250 this year.
you know. I mean, I
So
definitely have a lot, but I try not to look at the numbers too much. But yeah, I have a lot. But we'll get to that in a second. If you have anything else, any movie news, or just anything you want to bring up, any life stuff, anything.
hmm, I'm trying to think if there's like anything I'm forgetting. Is there anything you want to bring up?
Yeah, I'm gonna quickly just go through some of my watches, if you don't mind. Then I have one bit of movie news I wanted to bring up, but some reason my letterbox on right now is not showing some of the posters. But I think the last time we talked was the 15th. Since then, I've seen a bunch. I'll just start with some of the well, Batman Day was last weekend. Um, if anybody want to cross my TikTok, I posted probably about 15 videos on Batman Day, just a bunch of different stuff. Like I've said a couple times, he is my favorite character in any fictional sense in comic books and movies and TV shows. So yeah, that was just a cool day, and I watched a few Batman movies. My favorite one being The Dark Knight. Obviously, I think that's just a masterpiece. Everybody's seen it, but I saw Clockwork Orange in theaters, Stanley Kubrick's film. I bumped it up to a 5 star now. It's fantastic. I literally can't get enough of it. It's a messed
I'm
up story, but it's really good.
I might have seen that like when I was a baby.
I hope
Like
not. That's
I don't
definitely
know
not a
the
baby friendly
context
movie.
around that, but
If if your
it's
parents
like
let you watch that as a baby, then we have to talk to your parents. That's not a good movie. But next I want to bring up Dial M for Murder. We've both seen it before. I just rewatched it later that night because I love single setting films, and the mystery element of it is really solid. Um, then the only thing I really want to talk about next is the Smash Machine. I saw it about 10 days early from its release, starring Dwayne The Rock Johnson. As of right now, today, he's in my top five performances of this year, so he would get a
wow.
nomination. He would get a nomination for me for sure. Um, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I don't think it's a phenomenal movie. I think there are some problems with it. I'll probably talk about it more on the podcast once it actually releases. But I still really liked it. It was really good. The performances are what is the best part of the movie. I do think the director did good. Benny Safdie, who I've talked about, is one of my favorites working today. But then one battle after another. I've seen it twice now. Once on 70 millimeter, once in IMAX. My first viewing was on Wednesday, so it was a couple days early. Packed theater at the Somerville Theater, Jathan. I know I bring it up a lot, but you've been there, you've seen what it's like there. When it's a packed crowd, you get like true movie fans there, which is nice. It's not like people just going to go, like they're actually there to watch the movie and not be on their phones. So that's a really nice feeling.
Yeah, and the
But then,
concessions aren't $1 million like AMC.
yeah, true.
Step it
Um,
the fuck up, AMC.
um, then I saw it in IMAX, which I thought was even better. I'm a big IMAX guy. Any chance I can get to see it in anything in IMAX, I always take the advantage. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much it. There's a few other movies here and there, but I don't want to harp on them too much. But the movie news I wanted to bring up was actually what we talked about in our last episode. When we talked about The Social Network, how they're doing a sequel. It's actually in production now, 100%.
And it's not
It's
called The Social Network too.
no, I didn't think they would do that, but it's called the Social Reckoning. It's starring Jeremy Strong, who is gonna play Mark Zuckerberg. Jeremy Allen White, I don't know what character he's playing. Mikey Madsen, obviously the Oscar winner of last year, and then Bill Burr is gonna be in the film too, which I'm a big fan of him. I'm not very happy that this movie's being made because I think The Social Network's perfect, and to piggyback off that, about 15 years later, I think it's dumb. But this cast is very good. The director's very good, so I will be there. But I'm gonna keep my expectations mild. But yeah, that's all I pretty much have for movie news. If you can't tell, I'm very well. You can't see my eyes, but I'm very excited right now. I'm very hyped up to talk about one film we're talking about in particular. The other one, I think we have some strong opinions on. But before we get into them, Jathan, is there anything else you want to add or bring up before we start to dive in?
No, but it sounds like you're ready to just jump right into the second segment of the podcast. So I think we should first talk about him because this is a movie that has come out very recently, and two, it is a genre that does not get tackled often. If you can think of another sports horror, please correct me, but this is the only one that I have seen, and that movie is Him, directed by Justin Tipping. And it follows a high school quarterback who is kind of known nationwide as the number one prospect or whatever. And he gets invited to this combine where he gets injured. And he thinks his career's down in the drain until, almost like a message from God, he gets sent to Marlon Wayne's training camp, and he gets to learn the ropes and the inside and out of this industry. And that is about it for the synopsis. Nick, what did you think about this movie, and why is it at a 1.5 for you?
Okay. What I thought about this movie is, I'll I'll take it from the beginning. When the first trailer came out for this, I was very intrigued. I thought the casting was great. I thought it looked great. The second trailer released, and I started to, I would say mitigate my expectations because I did think it would be a movie that had a certain element that I wouldn't like. I'll get into it later on once we get into spoilers and stuff. But while watching it, pretty quickly and instantly I go, okay, this is not a film that I'm gonna like. I think right off the bat, it just shows that okay, this is gonna be from the football aspect, it's nothing innovative, nothing new. We've seen this before. We've seen this prototype of character before where he, is one of the top prospects, gets hurt or does something bad, then his draft profile goes down. We've seen that a million times. It's nothing new. The horror elements in this, which I think most people were more excited for the horror elements, I know I certainly was, I think are garbage. I think are terrible. Um, I will say, and this is not even me trying to be nice to the film, this is honest what I feel about it. I do think Tyreek Withers, who plays, let me get the character name right, Cameron Cade, who is the main character, the quarterback, I think his performance was really, really good. And I do think Marlon Wayans as Isaiah White was pretty good. Um, I think how they're both written is garbage, but I think their acting abilities was the only thing that kept me somewhat interested in this movie. Um, I will say if this was a movie that was like a Netflix release or an Amazon Prime release, I probably wouldn't have finished it if that gives anybody an insight of how I felt about it. But going to the theater, even if I don't like a movie within the first, I don't know, couple 20, 30 minutes, I'll always finish it no matter what. But if this was a streaming release, I probably would have turned it off. I was that disappointed with it.
I think disappointing is probably the best word to describe this film. Um, Again, sports horror is not a genre that gets tackled a lot. And I just feel like they really didn't dive deep enough into the film. I think there was a whole underbelly of this world that they were trying to build that just didn't get explored enough. And there's some nuance to it for sure. Like there's little moments throughout the film that like kind of made me lean more forward in my chair, and I think it's definitely like you can perfectly enjoy this film. I don't think this is something that the average like audience member will watch and be like this is bad. I think you can get away with it, but there's like certain moments that make me think that the film is going to be deeper than it is. Like for instance, there's like details in the set design when they walk into what's Marlon Wayne's character's name? Isaiah.
Isaiah White.
Isaiah White, when they walk into his house, it's like more of a museum than like someplace that someone will live. Like you see all his accolades, you see like all this random shit throughout his house, and it just kind of shows like that he is stepping away from the game in a sense that like he's lost his purpose. Like he's not doing it for the game anymore. Like he's doing it for other motives like achievements or like accolades or applause or whatever. But they really didn't dive deep enough into it. The main character, his personality is like so blank. Like he's literally an auto-generated player in 2K down to his name. Um, they do try to like flesh out his family a little bit in
Mm-hmm.
the sense that like his dad like had some involvement with one of the owners but or whatever, but again they just didn't really dive deep enough into it, and they like really retread some like tropey stuff when it comes to sports movies and horror in general, with like lust and like falling for this party life or whatever, instead of showing us this world of the sports media that makes it so horrifying or like unpleasant. Like let's talk about the fans who are like a little too out there, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
they do have those characters in there, but you see them and they just are kind of there. So I was just hoping that they would go more into like what it means to be a young kid who has all this national media attention on him. You know, there's people who are going to relentlessly go after him, and they kind of do go that way with like the religious like cult stuff toward the end of the film, but again, they just didn't dive deep enough into it for me to care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what you just said about the cult stuff is from the second trailer. That's where I feel like this film was leading towards, and never works for me. I don't like movies that have cults in them. I think they just, especially movies now that have cults in them, I think they'd never work. Um, there was another movie this year called Opus with Io Debris, who's from The Bear. If anybody's a fan of that show, obviously knows who I'm talking about. Um, I thought that movie was atrocious. I don't. The cult horror genre does zero for me. Sorry. Like the movie Midsommar with Florence Pugh, that's cult horror. I don't really like that movie at all. So the minute this film
Wow.
reveals that, the minute that this film reveals that, I was like, okay, this is just gonna be really dumb. And I think the third act of this movie is one of the worst third acts I've ever seen. I think it sucks. I think it's honestly awful. I don't know who wrote that or who planned that. I thought it was garbage.
Can we go back to what you said about Midsummer real quick, because that is like kind of shocking to me, because that is a movie that I don't rewatch personally, but not because it's bad, but because like it genuinely like creeps me out. Like that whole indoctrination shit, like the whole implanting like these ideas about the people around you, like that shit freaks me out. I think Midsummer is an incredibly creepy film, and I think I have it at a 4 on my Letterboxd. I might have watched it before I even had Letterboxd, but I love that film, but not enough to rewatch it because it creeps me out.
It did nothing for me. The only thing that kept me somewhat invested was the performance from Florence Pugh. I think she's excellent, but the writing's on the wall for that movie within the first 20 minutes. I feel like it's really predictable. Um, like I said, the cult stuff, for some people, I'm sure it's very interesting and weird. For me, I think it sucks. I think it's just It's absolutely ridiculous because if you are a person that does stuff like that or has ever been like, I just think you're an idiot, honestly. And I think the characters in the movies are idiots, which I guess reflects like real life people that do stuff like that. But I don't care for them. There's only very few movies that involve cult horrors that I enjoy. One of them is actually in my top 10 horror films list, but they're very few and far between. I think it's just garbage. So once the movie Him went into that, I was done. And I, I couldn't even I couldn't even care about these characters because you just kind of This movie's very quick too, which I guess was a good thing because I didn't like it, so I didn't have to sit with it that long. But like, you don't care for them. It's like you see Cade Cameron, you don't even see any of his college career. You don't really know how he did. All you know is that he was training for the what's it called? The combine, and he gets hurt before he goes to the combine. But you don't know anything about him. Like, I don't. Why should I care for this character? You've given me nothing. Why should I
Mm-hmm.
care about? Why should I care about Marlon Wayne's character? He's the goat, but we don't know a single fucking thing about him. All we know about him is that he's a weird guy. It's like you don't. There's no weight to these characters at all. That's why I think, honestly, that I don't think their performances were bad, but they had nothing to chew on. There was nothing there. They were just literally just like it felt like they made a bunch of these scenes and just mashed them together. Because a lot of them are very like, oh, and I'm sorry, I'm jumping all over the place. And the fucking title cards of this movie. This movie is an hour and 30 minutes, and you have seven title cards. It's like, we
I'm
get
like,
it.
yeah, we're
It's like,
halfway.
yeah, it's like, are we kidding me? Like, I don't, did you see Weapons this year?
No, I need to.
Okay, Weapons is a movie that's about 2 hours and 15 to 20 minutes. And there's a bunch of title cards in that, but each title card is related to a character, but it works perfectly. Like at first when it started happening in Weapons, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this, but it ends up working perfectly. For this movie, the title cards in this are so fucking stupid and unnecessary. It's like day one, fun, day two, pain, day three, what it's just it was I was really checked out. And I think the thing that I was most upset about this is not even that um people are giving it negative reviews because obviously everybody when you're judging a piece of art, it's subjective to people. Not everybody's gonna like everything. I've seen really bad reviews for one battle after another. Like not everybody's gonna like everything. But why I was upset about it is because I feel like Tariq Withers, Marlon Wayans really took this movie very serious. Like it doesn't seem like they cashed in their performances. It seemed like they really were trying. And you can tell, like I said, I think they did a decent job. And obviously you brought up last episode, Jathan, Jordan Peele's production company. A lot of people thought he was directing this. No, he's not directing. He just produced it, and this is his production company, Monkey Paws. But it sucks for him producing, and it sucks for his company because obviously this movie's gonna be a flop. It's getting horrible ratings, so that's not good for the people involved in this movie.
It sucks for Justin Tipping because imagine, is this his first feature?
I don't I don't know. No, he has some other random movie, something called Kicks and Joe versus what's this? Fucking is this a Carol Baskin movie? Yeah, Jesus Christ. Yeah, so maybe
Anyway,
maybe they picked a bad director because he didn't seem like he knew what he was doing.
anyway, I almost brought it up in the call before this, but the whole discourse about this movie and people saying, "Oh, it's Jordan Peele, it's Jordan Peele." Shut up. It's not Jordan Peele. It's not Jordan Peele. And it's really disappointing that like there's something so unique in like the geez, I'm everywhere. But if there were two words to describe this movie, it would be wasted potential. And that is
Hmm.
because it's a genre that hasn't been tackled. It's something contemporary that we can talk about, especially with athletes and the whole thing with CTE and the
So
injury
wasted.
stuff. The best part about this movie is the trailer, and that's a shame. But I don't think it was all bad. I think you definitely can watch it. There's definitely some funny lines in here. Like Marlon Wayans like says some shit that like makes me laugh in this movie, and
Yeah,
like
and I like the guy that does the goat noise too. When he was in the hallway,
mm-hmm.
the white guy with his face painted, that part was funny.
But yeah, I agree with Nick in that the third act is awful because it really just feels like they were trying to write themselves out of the movie and just like get this to the assembly line because it just felt rushed and they've really like speed through the end like because they just waste the whole second act doing nothing and
Hmm.
it's like they just killed these faceless people that I don't give a fuck about, and the movie just kind of ends from there. And I guess he is free of everyone trying to control him, and he doesn't have a career in football anymore, and he has to go be a sales agent. So that's good for him. Um, if you want to watch this on an airplane. This is my type. When I say airplane movie, this is like textbook definition of an airplane movie. Like, okay, this came out this year. I gotta watch all the movies that came out this year so I can get my Oscar picks. Get this done on the airplane. Watch it on a bus. Just like kill some time.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely, like I said, going into the movie, I definitely tampered my expectations, because it wasn't getting the best reviews. But of course, I was open minded, but just not good at all. Nothing memorable here. I've seen. I'm actually gonna pull it up on my phone because I don't want to mess up the stream. But I have seen 83 2025 new movies this year, whether that's in theaters or streaming. Uh, Number 82 of this year is him. So that lets you know where I stand with the film. I just, not good. Not good. And after this podcast, I probably won't talk about it or think about it again, if I'm being honest.
I did talk to one friend outside of my class about this movie, just briefly, but they said they enjoyed it, and I'm not gonna crucify them for that, but they did bring up that because I brought up as a counterpoint to why I didn't like it is that the characters didn't have any personality, and she said that that is kind of like what made it interesting to them because it was like a less is more type of deal because it's just like these guys blindly going into this industry with people who are clearly like not well intentioned people or like trying to do the best for these athletes, but it didn't work for me in that sense in a less is full kind of less is more kind of context because it just didn't give me enough to chew on. Imagine like you go to a restaurant and you're expecting a steak and they give you like ketchup. Like, what are we
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah. I mean, I've got nothing more to add. I don't want to, you know, I'm when I review movies or talk about them, I'm always honest. I do not care, whether I love them 100% or I don't. I'm honest because I feel like there's no really other point of you hearing my words if they're untruthful. But I don't like to bash on movies because I know how hard it is, for movies to get made and to be released in theaters. Obviously, Jathan, you are a filmmaker of your own. You know how hard the process is, so I don't want to bash anybody. But when something's not good, I'm gonna say it's not good. So that's just how I feel about it. It's unfortunate because I definitely was hoping for this to be at least a decent movie, but it fell very short for me. Very, very short.
Who released this? Universal?
I can check right now.
I
Let's
want to
see.
say Universal, but I just wanted to say that yeah, production is not easy.
Well, Monkey
It
Paws
can.
is the biggest person. I don't know if
I
I
want
don't
to
know if Universal.
say Monkey Pond Universal are like contractually tied, but
Okay, probably yeah.
again, production's not easy. Like it's very hard to get your ideas off the ground and just to even get into production. But it just definitely felt like it needed more time in the oven, and it wasn't ready. That's as simple as that.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to be any more negative on it, and I don't think you do either. So I think this is perfect to transition into the film that I personally really, really want to talk about. That I've been highly anticipating since March, since the first trailer came out. I've actually been anticipating this film for a long time. When the first behind the scenes set photos came out of Leo and Tiana Taylor. But the film I'm talking about is Paul Thomas Anderson's newest film, One Battle After Another. I'm going to read the quick synopsis of on here, but it doesn't really reveal much. When their evil nemesis resurfaces after 16 years, a band of ex revolutionaries unite to rescue the daughter of one of their own. So, very bare bones, doesn't give you much. But I wanted to kind of go by the rundown you had, Jathan. But obviously, what are your initial thoughts on this? No spoilers at this point, but what did you feel about this film?
I thought the first word that comes to mind is fun. You know, it's not often that we get films that like really hit the ground running, but this one is one that I feel like just it feels like I'm on a rocket. Like, and I liked it a lot. I loved a lot of the cinematography. It was just beautiful. Um, Leo DiCaprio probably delivers his one of his funniest performances right next to Jordan Belfort in Wolf of Wall Street. I think he's a character that a lot of people are going to relate to, myself included, and it was just really refreshing, honestly. And I hope we get more movies made like this.
Yeah, yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like I said a little bit, I've been highly anticipating this. Paul Thomas Anderson is not a director that I've grown up with. Just recently, in the past few years, I've been watching his films, but um, I think Jathan, you would agree with this too after seeing at least Licorice Pizza. He definitely has a particular style and palette. So I don't think a lot of his movies are for everybody, but he has tackled a lot of genres. So I think somewhere in his filmography, there's a film for everybody. But I think there's no surprise that he gets people like DiCaprio and Sean Penn, who doesn't really do a lot of movies nowadays, and Benicio del Toro. There's a reason why he gets these high level guys because people want to work with him. Um, Obviously, he's done two films with Daniel Day Lewis. Daniel Day Lewis is very selective on who he makes films with. Like this guy knows how to write movies. He knows how to direct movies. So I've been doing a ton of prep on his filmography going into this. And I think as it sits here today, this is my second favorite from him. Um, just I'm gonna start getting into some of the performances without going into too much plot, but DiCaprio is a top 10 actor of all time for me. He has been for a very long time. I would say, as of right now, this is probably in my top five performances for him. I mean, he has a ton. I could go on and on about just a whole episode about his performances. Um, Sean Penn, who I have not seen a lot of his movies, but I think he's excellent. I actually just watched his movie Milk last night, which is like a complete 180 performance from this character he plays in this. But he's fantastic. Benicio is my guy. Obviously, he had Phoenician Scheme that came out earlier this year, which is a top five film of the year for me. I love all his movies. I think he is fantastic. What?
Uh, that that movie's just very okay to me. But
That's fine.
continue.
I'm a Wes Anderson guy and I'm a Benicio guy, but
I'm a Wes Anderson guy too, but he's gotta
not like me,
quit
not like me, not like me.
quit
You don't
hitting the
love him like me.
Control C Control V button, pal.
No,
Like
that's a debate for another day. I would love to debate that, but that's for another. Regina Hall, who is kind of like a guardian angel in this movie. I just wish we got more of her. Tiana Taylor, she sets the tone of this movie. She absolutely pulls you in right from the beginning. Her character is like off the walls crazy. I loved her.
she's
But the
my
person
favorite
that
character. Sorry to
Mhm.
interrupt you.
No, it's fine, it's fine. But the person I want to highlight the most, who since this movie got announced, I've been like following her on social media and like watching her interviews and stuff like that is Chase Infinity. The fact that this is her first feature film is bonkers. The way she holds her own in this movie is ridiculous, and the physical acting that she does, and I don't mean just like gunfights or car chases. I mean what she does with her eyes and her body language is perfect. And once we get a little bit more into the details, I'll go in depth about that. But I gotta say, I'm just in love with her. I think she could be one of the best new up and coming stars. She, I think she only has her only other big credit is a TV show she did with Jake Gyllenhaal. Um, but she is fantastic. I couldn't believe that this was her first feature film. I loved watching her interviews for this movie. She's been doing a lot of good press for the movie. Like she's been getting Leonardo DiCaprio to do TikToks with her, which is crazy. Like you would never think Leo DiCaprio would be doing stuff on social media, but I'm just the more and more I think about this film, the more and more I like it. Right now, I'm just gonna say my rating. I do have it at a 4.5 out of 5. It's my number two on the year. I'm actually gonna go see it tomorrow night again. I do think it's going to bump to a 5, if I'm being honest. I don't think it will top Sinners. I don't think anything this year will top Sinners. I mean, we obviously started this podcast after that movie came out, but Sinners to me is like I could talk about that movie for days on end. I think it's perfect in every sense of the word. Um, I do think this movie has some flaws in it, and I'll bring that up once we go into more details. I know there's a lot of things I said I won't go into more details about. There are some things in here I don't love, but the emotion that this film gives me and the performances is probably going to make this film a 5.
Can we stay on Chase Infinity for just a second because there's like
Please, because
something that
I have the biggest crush on her right now, so please, I don't care.
yeah,
Please, yes. I
cool
love
last
her.
name by the way. Um so if we can like piggyback to him real quick. Um Remind me the actor of that film of him.
Tariq Withers.
Yeah. So Tariq Withers and Chase Infinity's character have probably the same amount of screen time to like set up their character and like give you an idea of who they are. And this is I think a great example of just the vast like difference in filmmaking because they get the same amount of screen time, right? And I feel like we know infinitely more about, pun not intended, Chase Infinity's character than we do Tariq Withers. Like
Hmm.
they spend zero time explaining her character, but we already like know a lot about her. And I don't want to get too much into it before we get into spoilers, but just the
We can
way
start
the
bringing them up. We can start bringing them up now. I think it's
I
fine.
want to give it like another 10 to 15
Okay.
minutes in case
Okay.
like anyone isn't convinced yet. But you forget that her character is like 16 years old in this film. And it's kind of crazy considering like what they do with her in this film. And I felt like the film was paced perfectly. Like there was no point in time where I was like checking my watch, like waiting, because this is a 2 hour, 40-minute film. There's no point where I was like, all right, like I'm ready to leave the theater. Like it was just a ride the whole way through. Um, the performance is amazing all around, and I'm not even one to like glaze performances, but Sean Penn is like a force in this film.
Yeah, and like you were saying, I think Sean Penn is great in this, and we'll get more into it. But somebody I want to bring is just Benicio. That guy is just like I was just saying. Obviously, Phoenician Scheme is one of my favorites of the year. He's one of my favorite actors ever. Everything he's been in, performance wise from him, I think is great. But he just brings in that element that is just so he's too cool for school. He's just such a badass, and I think on paper maybe people didn't picture him and Leo working together great in this movie, but I think their dynamic, especially in that third act of the movie, or like second leading into third, yeah, more second leading into third act is like perfect. I think they have one of the most hilarious scenes in it, and I'm sure we have a lot to talk about in this, but Jathan is right and smart about this. We should give people more time just to talk about maybe the movie and why you should go see it before we get into details. But yeah, I think Benicio was great. Um, from a personal standpoint, he was probably my first or second favorite performance, but I think the best in this movie I'll get into later on. But you mentioned on here before we started recording the episode about why people should go see this in theaters. I don't know if you wanted to kick this off because I think this is maybe a good last segue before we get into spoilers. But why do you think it's important for people to see this movie, particularly in theaters?
Yeah, just I think the most impactful element of the film to me was the sound. I mean,
Hmm.
I saw this in IMAX. I don't think you need to enjoy this film, but it definitely will enhance the experience. And I'm not gonna get too much into detail, but just there's scenes in the action pieces where a character will get hit by a car or something, or like gunshots will go off, and like it will feel like you got hit as well. And it made me feel like I wasn't safe. It made me feel like I didn't know where the plot was going in a good way, in the sense that I was really thrilled and I wanted to see what happened next. And there's one scene in particular not with the sound, but with the cinematography, where you are just left in suspense. Like it is crazy to me. They don't even do anything like really like out of this world with like visual effects or anything, but just the, I wouldn't say run and gun filmmaking, but just the just core element of the way they're shooting. Paul Thomas Anderson, like he really knows how to make a film, and you're gonna know that when you watch this film, especially towards the end. There's an end chase sequence that is just it really like sold me on the film. I was like, okay, this is up there.
Yeah. I mean, you stole what I was gonna say, but I'm glad you did. For me, the biggest thing was sound. You said the gunshots. It feels like they're in the theater with you if you see it in IMAX, particularly. Um, but the score, man, and you know me,
Yes.
Jathan. Obviously, me and you, we ride around in my car a lot. You know, I just listen to film scores all the time, like a psycho. This album immediately got added to that playlist. Every song. I've been listening to it for the past couple days. It's in the beginning of the movie too. It opens with a score that just it booms. It pulls you right in, and it has a shot of Tiana Taylor walking. So this movie just gets you right in. And obviously, I'm a big advocate for theaters. So is Jathan. I love my AMC A-list membership I have. Obviously, I try my best to support independent theaters that are around me, which I go to them a good amount. But any chance I can get to see a movie in theater, I take advantage of, especially stuff like this. Um, this movie was shot on film cameras, which, if anybody's not familiar with film, and I'm not even the best one to answer this question, Jathan's better, but a lot of movies get made with digital cameras, which it's very easy to, cut a scene and just go to the next one. You pretty much stop and record like how you do on your phone. When you're shooting with
Mm-hmm.
film, it's on the film strips. It's literally on the strips. So, you know, it's kind of, I don't want to say higher stakes, but I feel like actors, and they say it in interviews, like when you're shooting on film, you know you're shooting on film. It's much more tangible. It's harder to replace the reels from one shot to the next shot. So just from the technical aspects, like I said, I'm not an expert on it. Jathan knows that stuff a lot better than me. I don't try to be an expert, but the little bit I know, shooting on film is not as common as it used to be. So it's great to see that in theaters. And I'm a guy that I love watching movies once they come out at home. I really do. Jathan knows I'm a big rewatcher. If I love a film, I'm gonna rewatch it continuously over and over. I already pre-ordered the 4K Blu-ray for this movie, and it doesn't even come out till next year. But I know I'm gonna want to rewatch it when I get home. But for the next week to 2 weeks, while this is still playing in theaters, in IMAX theaters particularly, I'm gonna go as much as I possibly can because you can't get these moments back. So if you're interested in this, even if you don't know the actors, even if you don't know the director, even if you don't even really know what this is about, I'm telling you, this is a movie to just take a chance on. If you only go to see a few movies a year, this is one you're gonna want to see in theaters. Don't miss out on this. Seriously. And I don't say that for all movies. I see a lot of movies in theaters. I think a lot of them, if I'm being honest, if I was a general audience person, I would probably wait to streaming. This is a movie you don't do that for. You have to go experience it.
Yeah, and just realize that with film, like the power is all in the dollar and what we choose to see in the theaters.
Hmm.
And this is a film that is really weird to me that Warner Brothers decided to greenlight this because Paul Thomas Anderson is a director who doesn't make a lot of commercial success with his films. He's more of a critical guy, but
Hmm.
they gave him $175 million to make this political like action thriller, and it's something that doesn't get made too often anymore. And it really reminded me of like a mid 2000s film. So again, if you can, go see this in theaters because we need to support filmmakers who are making stuff like this and just making sure we're getting the stuff we want. But if there's anything else that you want to talk about, Nick, before we get into spoilers?
No, let's
No?
go.
Okay.
Let's go. Yeah.
So that was your warning. Again, if you haven't seen this film, go see it. But we're gonna dive into spoilers. Um, Skip ahead to this time code right here if you want to watch the episode, but you don't really care or whatever. Go do your thing. But
Yeah.
let's talk about spoilers, Nick. What did you think about Tiana Taylor's character exiting within the first 10 to 15 minutes of this film? Personally, I was not expecting that at all. And even when she did leave, I was like, okay, she's going to come back toward the end of the film. But no, that was it.
Um, I will say, like I said, I was the trailers for this movie I loved, and I'm a very kind of at my own fault. I'm a very analytical guy when it comes to trailers. Like I really look at what is going on. Um, and if you do pay attention to the trailers, I feel like you can tell that she is only in certain scenes that seem like they are in the past. Like a lot of the scenes that she's in the trailer, it seems like Leo, his character is younger, and then obviously when he's older, he looks very more disheveled and his hair is crazy. So I will say I honestly I thought she would be in the film more, but I knew that there was going to be something where she wasn't going to be throughout the whole thing. I personally thought she was just going to be locked up like in a prison in California. I did not think her character, and like Jathan said, spoilers, this is your last warning. I did not think her character was going to be somebody that murdered somebody, got caught, and then snitched and fled the country. That is not an aspect of the character I was expecting, which I thought was really interesting because I don't think a lot of people were anticipating that. I know I expected her to be locked up, but I did not expect her character to do the thing she did and make the decision she did.
Yeah, she was like really an interesting character, and she was honestly the character I was drawn to most in that first act because she, as they say in the film, like she cannot be trusted, and she is like a wild card. Like she, it was like too much of a revolutionary to
Yeah.
like hang with the others because she was like that much out there, and she gets burdened with the child, and all of a sudden like that fire leaves her. So she was like a really interesting character. I know I keep saying that, but
Hmm.
she like really dominated the scenes to me. I feel like female characters don't get that much attention as much as Tiana Taylor's character did. At least I guess like in a generalized sense, but I
I want to
loved
say
it.
two things relating to this too, but yeah, keep
Yeah,
going.
that was like my finished thought. So go for it.
Yeah. Um, this is two things quickly, and they work with the Tiana Taylor character. Who let me get her character name right because I hate just saying the actor's name. Perfidia Beverly Hills. Two things I've seen online that have really annoyed me, and actually one of them was in my TikTok comments. One person has said that they felt like the black female characters in this were your typical black female trope characters, and I think that couldn't be further from the truth. Tiana Taylor's character, Perfidia, is nothing like you've seen before. She gets built up as this great revolutionary person, but look what she does to her group, the French 75. She literally rats on the mall, leaves her child. I mean, that's not a that's not a strong woman trope you see in Hollywood. I've never seen anything like that, and obviously it leaves you very conflicted for the character. And the second thing I've seen, and someone actually left this on my TikTok comments, and I just can't stand it honestly. And I don't even like to bring up politics because whatever you believe in is fine. The one thing I care about when it comes to human beings, you treat people with respect. But somebody left on my comments, the only people that enjoy this movie are young liberals, and I was just like, what are you talking about? This is a movie that person that commented probably didn't even see, but this is a movie. This is art. This is not a 100% depiction of real life. This is a made up story. But B, this movie shows you radical people on both sides, and particularly with two characters. Tiana Taylor's character yes, is her message and ideology rooted in some goodness? 100%. She's trying to um, free, immigrants that are being held in this country that are, you know, against their will, children being locked up in cages and stuff like that. That's all positive. But look at what she does to her city and what she does to people. That's not good. You can't do it like that. You can't. She murders another black guy, and she's fighting for people of color. So obviously she's kind of a contradiction on herself. She leaves her daughter. She cheats on her. I don't think her and um, Bob ever got married, but they were obviously in a relationship. She cheats on him. She's not a good person, even though like obviously she has a good message, but she's not a good person. Sean
No,
Penn's character, Sean Penn's character is on the opposite end. He's a bigot, racist guy who contradicts himself with falling in love with a person of color, but then he wants to go join. They don't say the KKK, but obviously the Christmas Adventure people are KKK members, essentially. But he goes and joins them. Both of these characters show obviously the extremists of both sides, horrible people, but they both contradict each other. So this movie is not a. I hate when people do this, and it's just a movie, but this movie showcases the horrible people on both sides that can get produced from their beliefs. So I don't people that think that the guy that commented on my TikTok, he didn't have a profile picture and he probably didn't see the movie. So I didn't even really get mad at him. He probably just is trying to be an asshole for no reason, but watch the movie and you will understand what this is saying cuz people are just anything where people can just be against each other with beliefs in this country they're going to do, but that's not what this movie is. It and it's a satire at the end of the day. Like and like I said, we're gonna keep going into spoilers and moving down the episode, and I don't want to keep yapping. I want Jathan to obviously interject, but I just want to say this last thing. Like Sean Penn's character is a horrible guy, but the way Paul Thomas Anderson writes him is it's awesome because he is so funny. He is such a pathetic idiot. Like his
he
his
knows it.
walk, his walk that he does, his little thing he does with his mouth, like he like always does this. Like he is he's a
Why is your
loser. Like
shirt
not
so
even
tight?
yeah, he's a loser. Like not even from his political obviously his political views and the way he treats people is terrible. But even just him as a guy, he's pathetic. Like he he probably met um Perfidia Beverly Hills only a few times and he thinks that he like belongs to her and that she belongs to him. Like she obviously was playing him. There's probably some, level of intimacy, but this guy is so
He's a
caught up
gooner.
in yeah, literally. He's so caught up in this image of her and trying to present himself as this way that he's just pathetic. Like he's a complete loser. And but just the way Paul Thomas Anderson writes him is hilarious. So that's why I think it's such an interesting character because obviously he's a really bad guy, but you laugh at him the whole movie in a very comedic way. So I just think it's genius in that aspect. Sorry that was kind of a long rant, but
No, it was great.
stuff like that really aggravates me, especially because the guy that commented that probably didn't even watch the fucking movie. But this movie is a satire. But obviously, yes, the stuff that happens in this movie is stuff that's happening today. But you're
That's what I
allowed to
like
laugh
about
and
it. It's like very
you're allowed to laugh
contemporary.
in yeah, you're allowed to laugh in movies like this. And at the end of the day, if you don't like it, you don't like it. But don't come on here with bullshit saying only a certain group of people like this, because that's not the truth. Not the truth at all.
No, and I think it's important because it does deal with just this chaos that's kind of going on in our real world. I mean, I don't want to split the sides here, but it's very obvious like what kind of um, group that does certain acts toward a specific group of people employed by our government do. And it's really interesting because you have this character in Leonardo DiCaprio, Bob Ferguson, who just gets high all day, drinks, he's clearly just frying his brain all day because he doesn't have any more fucks to give about the country. And when he's off his vices, you see him get all anxious and paranoid and stuff. And I think that's a good parable to make about, I guess, the people in his generation in today's world. There's so much that they don't understand about the internet and how phones work. And now we have AI, and you go through Taco Bell drive-through, you don't even talk to a person anymore. You're talking to a
That's so
robot.
crazy. I hate that. I don't know how
Yeah.
much you've experienced that, but I hate it.
So, and just his difficulties over the hotline. So, I think that was a very funny scene.
Yeah.
I think it's just it's a movie that needs to be made today, and it's a movie that I haven't dived too deep into Paul Thomas Anderson's collection, but it's definitely a film that I can tell like he couldn't have made at the start of his career, or a less seasoned director couldn't have made this film. So
Hmm.
I think when you watch this, you're gonna like, you won't find every single film element in here, but the subtext is gonna hit you. Um, Cinematography wise, I already kind of went over it, but there was a chase scene toward the end of the movie where you have these like hills, right, out in California. You haven't really been to California too many times, Nick. You went one time over in San
Hmm.
Diego, but up north of like LA area, like it's just mountains and roads, and it's exactly like that, exactly how they present it, where I wouldn't say it's like you make one mistake and you're fucked, but you definitely have to keep your eyes on the road because the geography is like winding down, up and down. And Paul Thomas Anderson uses this exhilarating chase scene to like really sell the panic on these drivers because they don't know where the other person is. They could have lost them. And like Leo's character, you could get lost at any moment because the desert is, how do I say this? It blends in with itself.
Hmm.
Like you you can make one turn and you could be on the other end of where the other two characters are. But technically wise, it's great. It really pulls you in alongside with the plot, which I don't think is reinventing the wheel with anything, but it
No.
definitely was very fun. And that's all you can really ask for in a film. The number one thing I want in a film is to be entertained. And this kind of is going to dive into more about the rating. And I gave it a 4. And I see a lot of people giving it 5s. And that doesn't really deter me. But I just think it's a really good time. And I don't really care for spending too much time being like, okay, this is going to be a masterpiece when I walk into a film. I just look to be entertained. And that's all I could really ask for. And that's all I could really ask for you to do. And just to feel something, which that does again.
Hmm.
So I don't
Yeah.
know if you wanted to like dive more into like plot details, but
Yeah, I was just gonna finish up some of the first act so we can talk about more of the second act, which I think is the best part of the movie. I think the third act's great too, but at the end of the second act, it pretty much just shows Tiana Taylor's character. You know, she goes to rob a bank, it goes wrong, she gets caught. She ends up in the hospital just with some minor injuries, but Colonel Stephen Lockjaw, played by Sean Penn, visits her and pretty much tells her, you know, you can either do the time, which will probably be 30, 40 years because she murdered somebody, or if you give me names of people in the French 75, which is the revolutionary group, um, I can put you in witness protection and you'll be fine. But, if I'm sure people are familiar with witness protection, when you're in that, you get like a new alias. You have no contact with anybody in your personal life going forward. So she chooses that route, which obviously leads her to abandoning Bob Ferguson, which at this time his real name is actually Patrick, but their names switch because they have to get new identities. But Bob, she abandons him. She abandons her newborn child. Her family, obviously the revolutionary group, she completely abandons them because immediately after she gives up the names, um, Colonel Lockjaw and his kind of squad go and kill a bunch of them, and then they take a bunch of them in. So pretty quickly, the repercussions of her decisions are in full force, and kind of the ending. Well, I wanted to mention this real quick. Throughout the first act, there's certain moments where, um, Sean Penn's character in Perfidia. Lockjaw and Perfidia, they have very intimate moments. Like when they first do the raid, when she makes him get a boner and pretty much walk around outside with the boner, and then they obviously have the intimate scene in the hotel where I'm assuming that's probably where, you know, the kid was not born, but obviously made. And then Lockjaw and Bob Ferguson have that really awkward exchange in the grocery store where Lockjaw comes up behind him. And Lockjaw knows all these people are in the front 75, but since he loves Perfidia so much, he's willing to, let it slide because he thinks that she's just like a warrior in this like crazy woman. But he pretty much comes up to Bob Ferguson. He's like, "Oh, do you have a new baby?" He's like, "Is it a boy or girl?" And then Bob's like, "Girl." He's like, "What's her name?" And then I think Chase Infinity's character's actual name is Charlene, but obviously her name switches to Willa. But he's like, Charlene. Charlene sounds like a black girl's name. He's like, "Do you like black girls?" He's like, "I
That's
love
such
them."
a weird
And
scene.
then he just walks out of the store. That's when I first saw it in theaters, people were dying laughing because the guy is a loser. He's a fucking loser. He's so awkward. He's so dumb. But that was kind of long-winded. But pretty much the first act ends with, Perfidia ratting them all out and Bob and his daughter um, having to go. I think they go to Denver, Colorado first, or I don't know where they end up, but
You're
they have
right.
to leave California, and then that pretty much leads into second act of the film, which this was already one of my favorite needle drops in movies because it's in a lot of movies, and you actually did this needle drop in your short film, um, but Dirty Work, the song I don't want to do your that is the opening of the second act with Chase Infinity's character Willa grown up when she's at the sensei with Sensei Bob, who's played by Benicio. She does her whole like karate, I guess, routine, and the Dirty Work song plays through that whole sequence, which it brought a huge smile to my face because that's one of
Me
my
too.
favorite songs. That's one of my favorite songs in films. Obviously, you did it in your film, which we'll probably do an episode on your film one day, but I'm a big fan of your short film, and I told you when you did that needle drop in your short film, I thought it was the perfect way to end the film. So it was really cool moment for that to be in Paul Thomas Anderson.
Thank you. That was really nice. Music is definitely a highlight here. Like, as Nick mentioned previously, there's these little like drum, like just little drum kits that like they progress and progress and progress, and it like I'm kind of losing adjectives here, but it really it keeps the pacing going, and it felt really like Wes Anderson inspired when they're having like little dialogue pieces, and you just hear these little like mute but like minimal instruments that just keeps the pace going, and I think that's the film's greatest strength. Um, yeah, like the second act is like very long, but it does a lot of heavy lifting in my opinion. Because the first act to me is kind of like a different film tonally wise, not in a
Yeah,
bad
it
way,
definitely
but
is.
it definitely like threw me for a loop, and I was still like kind of sitting in my seat, like, okay, what kind of film is this? Because you know me, I don't really watch too many trailers, but
Yeah.
the second act is like really where things get going, and it does some great character work. Leo gets like a ton of screen time in this, and I didn't even think he was like really the main character. I would say there's like three main characters, and they all like kind of get their own arcs, which is something that was pretty cool to see. Even Sean Penn's character, but Leo's character, he's this kind of like burnout who's kind of done with everything, and his arc is like really about learning to not worry, especially when he has already done again all the dirty work with making sure they're safe, making sure they have a house, and at the end of the day that gets taken care of. And I think it really culminates toward the end of the film where you get, I guess it's the falling action where there's this shoot off between Willa and Bob, and Willa's been fucking through a crazy ass day. So
Wait, and I hate to cut you off, but before we get to that part, because that part's really, really important to me. Do you mind if we just do a little bit more of the middle section of the movie?
yeah,
Because what you just brought up, that part of the movie crushed me, absolutely crushed me. But I want to get into that really in depth once we get to it. But
amazing
quickly, a
scene.
little bit amazing, completely. I think Chase Infinity in that scene was, it made me. She made me cry both times I saw it. But what you were saying about Leo with the dirty work, kind of he's trying to live more of a normal life, but he's doing it at a bad way. He's like an alcoholic, abuses drugs. When he's at Willa's teacher conference, he's like crying because he's so proud of her, but he doesn't know, like, he can't compute his emotions because obviously he knows the story of her life. Obviously her mother abandoned her, and he's obviously done stuff in the past that's not good, and he's always on edge. And then obviously as the second act kind of progresses, Willa and Bob are at the house. She's getting ready to go out for the dance. They have this big kind of blow up argument because he's worried about her going out. Obviously, um, he
I
checks
love
the
that
kids
scene.
that scene is he's
What's
like,
up,
"What's up,
homie?
homie?" Yeah, the
Reminded me
people in
of
my
Skylar White, yo. I know you haven't seen Breaking Bad, but
oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I know the name. Yeah, but yeah.
my name is
Um,
Skylar White, yo.
um, People in
Sorry.
my theater, I will say the people in my theater, the people to the right of me had no personal space. They were like too close to me, and I literally had to tell them, I'm like, hey, I know this is a tight theater, but you got to move over a little bit. They were like hanging over. And then the
Mm-hmm.
people to my left were just like, you know how DVDs do audio commentary?
Yeah.
That's what they sounded like the
Through
whole
the whole
movie.
film. Oh
Yeah,
my
and it was
god.
fine. It was fine because they were really enjoying it and they were laughing a lot. But it was like, I get it, dude. You don't have to explain every joke that's made in the movie. He was like, oh, you know what that means? That I was like, okay, we get it. We understand. Let's watch the movie. But they were having a good time, and nobody was on phones, which phones more than anything is a big red flag for me. But him
Hold
and
on.
Willa
Where
get.
where were you seated?
Uh, this was when I was at the Somerville Theater, and I was sitting exactly where we sat for the Brutalist, like exact
Okay.
same seats, exact same. Because I think I always like, we've talked about seating before. I like back row, but normally at the Somerville Theater, the middle section fills up very quickly. So that's why I went to the seats we sat at the Brutalist, but they were the exact same.
I hit
Um,
the buzzer beater on buying my tickets because I went to the AMC and they have that little slot where you can just buy it straight from the cashier. And
yeah,
I got L1, which is like bird's eye, and I got the aisle, and oh boy, was I ecstatic because you know me, the aisle seat. I gotta when I want to leave, I want to leave. Like
yeah.
there was like multiple people changing seats like throughout the screening. They were like stealing each other's seats, I guess, and
Yeah, it's annoying.
I was like, thank God I don't have to deal with that. But continue. Sorry.
Yeah, I just want to mention my seats. The only time I actually sit in the middle of the theater is when I go to IMAX now. So when I actually saw it for the second time in IMAX at the AMC I go to, um, I sat like middle row, in terms of like A to whatever, and I sat middle, and it's phenomenal. Seeing
Yeah,
IMAX in the middle seat is phenomenal. But other than that, I always sit back row at the edge, like Jathan said. But back to the movie. When Willa's going to her dance, obviously Bob is very concerned, and this is where you get the devices that they have. That in the French 75, they made these devices where they kind of track each other, and if they're within 100 to 200 yards of each other, they start to play music. So Willa obviously takes hers, Bob takes his, um, and then this pretty much kind of just rolls into Sean Penn telling his crew of guys, okay, we're gonna go in, and we're gonna either kill or take Bob into custody, like whatever is necessary. But he's like, we have to apprehend the girl because I think, and this is like a big spoiler, but obviously we've given spoiler warnings. I think Sean Penn has known for a while his character. I gotta stop saying Sean Penn. I think Colonel Lockjaw has known for a while that Willa is his daughter. That's why I think he is real. Well, they kind of say it too in the movie. He's so concerned about erasing this from his history, so the Christmas Adventure Club will keep him in there. But I think he knew for a while that Willa was his daughter. But obviously, he would never say that because a man of his um, stature trying to get into the Christmas Adventure Clubs, if they knew that he had a mixed race kid, they would never accept him. So, at this point in the movie, I'll let you go and say, at this point in the movie, we didn't know that Willa was his daughter, but and now obviously seeing it, you see those context clues. But go ahead, Jathan. Sorry.
I just wanted to say that I love being a light skin, and Chase Infinity, your character should not be ashamed, regardless of how you were conceived, because you're one of us.
Yeah, I wanted to bring some of that up later too, but yeah, yeah, and then
And
she
if you
pretty
want to
much,
join the Light Skinema podcast, you are more than welcome. You know, we can add
if
a
she
third
somehow
webcam
sees
down
this, that
here.
would be if she somehow sees this, that would be crazy. I really hope she gets put into a ton of stuff because I'm not even just saying it. I think she was phenomenal and she has a lot of great potential. But as
Welcome
the
to
film
the
progresses,
Juneteenth Adventurers Club.
okay, as the film progresses, she obviously goes to the dance. This is where Lockjaw's people come in and try to take her. She gets rescued by Regina Hall's character, which I have to look up the name. Deandra. She comes in, saves her, pretty much tells her, they recite the whatever you call it. They recite the kind of the slogan they have to each other, and they obviously both have one of those devices that starts playing the music. So Willa instantly goes with her, trusts her, while simultaneously, um, Bob Ferguson is back at his house. He gets a call from the Revolution telling them that um, Billy Goat is in the wind, which which is code for the guy's name. I forget the character's name. He got taken into custody, and that they're coming for you and your daughter. But this is the whole arc of Leo's character. This idiot can't remember any of the revolutionary codes. He can't remember. He can't really remember any of them. Specifically, what time is it? Is the big one. So, they don't tell him the
Can
rendezvous
you
point.
remind me what the answer was to what time is it?
I don't know verbatim, but it's something of time is no importance here. Time is something nothing. So it's not even a particular
It
time.
was a
Which
bunch of bullshit.
the whole time, Bob Ferguson thought it was like, oh, he means 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, something like that. But obviously, Regina Hall character Deandra took Willa. She got her safe, but Colonel Lockjaw is still coming to get Bob Ferguson. So they break into his house. Bob escapes through his tunnel in his house, and he goes. And this is where him and Sensei Bob, is his name Sensei? Am I getting that wrong? Sensei Sergio. I don't know why I kept saying Sensei Bob. Sensei Sergio, who's played by Benicio, they meet up, and this is where the film really. This is where it gets crazy because they go to Sensei's house where he has a lot of immigrants living with him. He has to try to get them free while simultaneously trying to get Bob um, access to his phone so he can call and see where the rendezvous point is for Willa. And this is where I think one of the funniest scenes in the whole movie is when he starts freaking out on the customer service guy. I think that's some of the best comedic acting of Leo. And I know you mentioned it before, but is there anything else you want Leo's kind of
About his
performance
character.
and about his character? Yeah.
He's just so relatable. Like, I'm probably like 30 years younger than this guy, but like, I, I felt like I was seeing me on screen. Maybe like not as like out there, but like yeah, I definitely related in a sense to his character, and just like being like, all right, like fuck this shit, like we we need to get from point A to point B. That is his character, and everything in the world is going against him. So it's just very funny, and he's a big draw, Leonardo DiCaprio, and it's for a big reason. He makes these movies. He really does. Like Wolf of Wall Street, like that whole narration in Wolf of Wall Street was like that. That is the backbone of that movie, and he like really like just supplants the performance in this, and
Hmm.
I can't wait to see what he does next. And if you're someone who's a Leo fan, you're gonna love this.
Yeah. I think even if, some people don't like him in real life, they have, ideas of him and they think he does certain things, whatever. I really don't care. The guy is simply one of the best that has ever done it, ever. He challenges himself with every new role. And he's so unbelievable. And I just back to more of his character. His character is obviously, he was very important in the French 75. He was like a very key member. But since, I mean, he says that he abused drugs for 20 years, um, alcohol. He is so pathetic in this movie. Like, I mean, he's a great dad. He really cares about his. But in terms of his like spy slash revolutionaries, he is so pathetic. Like, and then obviously as the scene progresses, he gets on the phone with them. They tell him the rendezvous point of where Will is going to be taken. But since Lockjaw's people are outside, he has to escape, and he gets taken up on the roof with some of the Sensei's guys, and he falls off the roof and then gets tased and put into custody. Like, he is out of shape, pathetic. He has no weapons. He barely even has any equipment to track his daughter. It's just like he's so pathetic. But I think what's so redeemable and cool and fun about his character is A, he's funny, so it's a very good comedic time. But B, he really loves his daughter, and obviously you see the very harshness of the truth. It's not his biological daughter, and he doesn't know that. And I kind of want to get into this at the end of the film because I think it's an interesting point to come up. But yeah, is there anything you want to kind of add for the second half? Well, second act of the movie, because I think after this we kick into the third act, which kind of leads to the big mic drop moments and obviously the big car sequence. All right, yeah. So third act, pretty much, yeah. It just This is where Lockjaw eventually narrows down and finds Willa at the nun, um, I guess you want to say church, orphanage type place. Um, he gets her, and I kind of glance over this, but I got to bring it up here. This is the Christmas adventurers have caught on that Colonel Lockjaw has a mixed child, and they have a quote unquote hitman of somebody in the group going out to find him. So about the same time Colonel Lockjaw is tracking down his daughter, somebody is tracking down Colonel Lockjaw. But eventually, Lockjaw meets up with his daughter Willa, and they do the whole DNA test. And this is one of the most disgusting, saddest lines I ever heard in the movie. Was when he says to her, "If these lines match up on the DNA test." Well, at first he says, "If these lines don't match up, I'll set you free. You're good to go. I'll let you walk out right now." But he's like, "If these lines match up, you're in big trouble." And that just broke me because I think in the moment Willa didn't understand exactly what that test was, and obviously she has no idea that that's her dad because she doesn't know the real truth about any of this stuff. But in that moment, I was like, okay, Willa is definitely his daughter, and these lines are gonna match up, and he's just gonna kill her right there and then. So I think this, and this is something I don't think you might have mentioned it, but the tension Paul Thomas built in this film, not just from the score is obviously very tense, and the gun shots and all that is very tense, but just stuff like that, dialogue like that it's I just wanted to cry because it's like obviously
It's
Sean
very
Penn's
real.
character, yeah, obviously Sean Penn's character is trying to get into this KKK group, but look at it, what he's willing to do to his daughter. It's like, how do you even compute that? You can't. I know I'm rambling. If there's anything you want to add before we get into a little bit more, but yeah, I was just That's one scene that really broke me, man. I was very emotional during the scene.
That's great, and I'm glad the movie made you feel a type of way. Um, I don't have too much to add. There's one scene that I want to into, but
Hmm.
I want you to finish your bit.
Okay, yeah. And so obviously in this moment, Bob actually catches up to them, and he's kind of on a hilltop with a sniper. Obviously, Lockjaw sees that the DNA test matches, confirming that that's his daughter. He takes her, puts her in the car, and he's about to take her to the bounty hunter he hired to kill her. Bob gets one shot off on Lockjaw. Obviously, it misses. This sends Lockjaw's people to kind of go after Bob while Lockjaw gets away and brings her to the hitman. Luckily, the hitman that he hires I mean, if you're a hitman, you're not really that great of a person, but he obviously has some type of morals where he won't kill children. And, he takes Willa to this place where Lockjaw sends his people to go execute her, but he says to Willa, "Is somebody gonna come get you? Is there gonna be somebody there for you?" And she says yes, obviously hoping that her dad makes it. But as much as I love Bob as a character, I'm dressed as him right now. He's very pathetic and he's dumb, so he doesn't actually end up making it to her. So the bounty hunter guy eventually decides to take matters into his own hand. He goes and kills all of Lockjaw's people, but he gets killed. Willa gets to escape in the car that the bounty hunter had, but simultaneously the Christmas adventure guy, which I don't have his name, and I probably should have done a better job of getting that. His name was either Bill or Howard, something like that. But he goes after Lockjaw. He shoots Lockjaw in the face with a shotgun. Everybody in the theater thinks Lockjaw's dead. We'll come back to him in a second. But the Christmas adventure guy is now going after Willa. And I was confused about this at first, but now I think I understand it. Earlier in the film, when the Christmas Adventure people are in the basement at that meeting, they talk about the hitman, and I think I don't know if you remember this, but they say they don't trust the hitman because he's not homegrown, meaning he's not full American. Um, so I think why the Christmas Adventure guy goes after Willa is because he recognizes that car, and I think he thinks the hitman's in the car. And obviously, they're very prejudiced, disgusting people. So I think he's going. I think he was like, okay, I'm gonna kill Lockjaw, and then I'm gonna go kill the hitman because the hitman. While he says the hitman does good work, but obviously the hitman is not full American, so he doesn't like him because they're obviously very prejudiced. So that's why I think he goes after Willa because I don't even think he realizes that the hitman's dead and that she's driving the car. But this is where Jathan has brought up, and if you want to interject here about the chase scene, please do. But this is obviously where you get the very good chase scene where it goes to the peaks and valleys of the hills, and Will is trying to escape while she's getting chased by the Christmas Adventure guy. But then in the distance, you see Bob coming in, which this is gonna lead me into my favorite kind of moment of the film. But Jathan, is there anything about the car chase you wanted to mention, or anything else before we get into kind of the final big moment of the film?
I feel like I mentioned everything regarding the car chase.
Okay. So yeah, pretty much Willa makes a very smart move where when you go through these high peaks and valleys in the hills, you can't really see what's on the other end of the apex of the hill. So she drives really fast. She gets out of the car, parks the car, while the Christmas Adventure guy comes up and he doesn't see the car, so he slams into her parked car, but she obviously jumped out. That guy gets out of the car and she starts reciting the revolutionary code to him. Obviously, he's not part of the revolution. He has no idea what she's talking about. And she kills him. And you can see the emotion from just her face, but obviously, after she kills him, she lets out this like horrible scream. And this is where I think Chase Infinity really hit it home for me. That's true emotion. I don't know. I don't know if people really understand what a true adrenaline dump is, but that is an adrenaline dump. right there that she showcased, and I thought it was beautiful. But this next part of the film is my favorite part, and this is really where I cried both time in theater. So obviously Bob was trailing both of them. He comes up on the hill. He takes out his um, tracker that he has, and it starts playing the music, which we know once you're in a certain vicinity, it will play the music. But in his mind, he sees the two cars crash, so he's worried that maybe his daughter's dead in there, and that somebody is out of the car waiting for him to come up. So he has his gun ready, same as Willa. But okay, this is where it might get complicated. What I'm saying. At this moment in time, Willa knows that Bob is not her biological father, but Bob does not know that. So this is how I interpret the film. Willa in this moment feels like she can't trust anybody. That's why even when she sees Bob, she's like, "Who are you?" And she starts reciting the code to him to make sure that
She's
he
still
knows
kind of
it.
shook.
Mm-hmm. She's shook, and her whole world just collapsed on her. Um, but obviously, Bob, at this point in the film, he comes to his senses and he recites the code to her, and he keeps telling her like, "I'm your dad, like this is me, I love you," and he puts down his like put because she has the gun pointed at him the whole time, and then eventually she just breaks down, starts crying, falls into his arm, and they escape away. But that moment killed me because, like I said, if you really think about it, her whole world just shattered. She just pretty much got told that the most despicable man maybe ever in the world, in the sense of this movie, is her father, and that the guy that has been raising her entire life is not her biological father. And then that means her mother, who she has this good conception of, that just shows that she cheated on her father, Bob. And she's running through all these emotions. She's trying to escape from being killed. She just had to kill a man, and then she's wondering if she can even trust Bob after this. So there's so much emotions that is going through her character's head that I think Chase Infinity killed it. And when she screams out to Bob, "Who are you?" That line right there broke me. That's where the waterworks just went, because I was just like, this poor girl can't trust anybody because her whole life has essentially been a lie. Her name is technically not even her name. That's how bad it has been. And I think this film, her character represents people, you know, sometimes they're a product of their environment. She has not been given a good environment, and a lot of people are quick to, you know, they're quick to judge other people. I think, me and Jathan both grew up in the same, obviously, town, went to the same schools forever, but, we have we've had two very different perspectives in life. Stuff that he's dealt with that I've never dealt with, and I'm sure there's some stuff I've dealt with that he's never dealt with. But just to write somebody off based on your experience is bullshit. Because look at us now. I mean, we weren't the best of friends in middle school and early on, but we both recognize things in each other that we love. I think we had very different circles at the beginning of high school. We
Absolutely.
played we played different sports. We just on paper it didn't seem like we're two guys that would be friends. Now I'm sitting here today, 4 years removed from high school, 3 years removed from high school, and you're one of the only few people I talk to that I truly care about and respect. So I know that was kind of long-winded, and how does that connect to Willa's character? I'm just pretty much saying that you know people are sometimes the product of their environments, but that doesn't mean just because they are in that environment, in those environments, you should write them off. And that's pretty much what
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to get at. But that's pretty much the whole film there. Um,
Thank you.
yeah. Is there? Because I know you were about to mention that scene with Willa and Bob earlier, but is there anything about that scene that you really liked that you wanted?
Yeah, it's just a great screenplay. Like, we talk a lot about film theory in my screenwriting class, and there's a certain concept. It's called the visceral eye, right? There's like three different types, and we have like it's all about the what we're hearing, what we're seeing, and what we're feeling, like that lizard brain like thinking. And this film does a great job of doing that. while also showing more than telling. Like, it's just really smart stuff, and what you described just now is like what you put together through the dialogue, through the vocal inflection, through just the context clues they give you about this person's life. And it there's a lot of movies that like involve this person or object they have to chase, and sometimes it's not the most like convincing or cathartic, but this movie right here, it really gets you to care about this character and the urgency that all these people are going through to make sure that she gets home safe. And it's like, it's very powerful because I feel like we don't really think about the amount of people that go into like, making sure we have a roof over our home, and like making sure we have food to eat when we're like in that age where we don't really recognize these things, and we just are very like self-centered. But it's just beautiful, and I love what Paul Thomas Anderson did here. I really didn't expect to like build this third act to where like I'm basically like me and the whole audience. You can hear a pin drop in there because we're all so invested. We've been having laughs. We've been like just amazed at some of these car crashes and scenes, and just amazing world building we've been having. And it was an amazing scene, and it was well built up, and it paid off tremendously.
Yeah. I'm because like you just said, the third act is very serious. Like a lot of the comedy goes out the window. It's kind of done. I would say the only good comedy in the third act is when Benicio gets taken by the cops, and he's putting up his arms, like doing his dance. He's like, "All right, let's go to work." That part is hilarious. But I honestly thought the ending would just be a big action sequence because obviously going into this movie, I mean, it still is a big action sequence, but going into this movie, everybody's like, "This is really sad Anderson getting his hand in action," which I think he did great on it, and I think it's phenomenal. But the emotionality, like I've already said it, but the emotionality of that scene with Willa and Bob, it's I'm not even lying. I'm not trying to make this film any bigger than it already is. It's one of the most emotional scenes that I've ever seen in a movie. I haven't I've never cried like that in a movie like that hard in a while. I mean, like I think just anything that involves family dynamics really gets to me. Like I know we've talked about this a little bit, but Interstellar, I'm a wreck. I cry the whole time. Between the relationship with Matthew McConaughey's character and his daughter, and this it's the same in this movie. I just could not help but cry. And then I think it's even sadder when you start to even think about more when you think about more of this film because I take it as, you know, I don't think Willa is ever going to tell Bob that they're not biologically related. Um,
It doesn't matter.
but yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter because Lockjaw was never going to be a father to her, and obviously, well, I did want to mention this. This is actually a funny part. Lockjaw survived the crash, and when he walks up to the camera, like when he's like walks over the hill, I forget what song plays in that, but he's doing his little like walk he does like this, and his face is half um fucking shot off, and then obviously he goes to the Christmas Adventure people, and he got like this very bad plastic surgery, and obviously they kill him and gas him at the end of the movie, but it's just I was I felt really sad at the end because obviously, you know, now Willa is probably gonna live a life with a secret from Bob. And just the letter that her mom left her, I thought was really emotional because she just pretty much says like, you know, I'm sorry for the things I did. I hope you're better than me. I hope one day we can get together. But she's like, I hope you continue this revolution and, you know, bring real change to the world, not like what I did, but like real change. And then obviously the film ends with Willa going to a revolutionary call, which is just a great way to end the movie.
I feel like, and I don't say this often, I feel like we could see a sequel. Like, I think that world is built up enough, and the characters are interesting. You have some actors. I think you definitely could see more of this world, and it ends more on a see you later type of vibe, at least to me. And I don't think that was an intention or anything, but it definitely felt like things were okay and things were on the come up for everyone involved. Well, minus
If you
Sean
want a
Penn.
sequel, yeah, if you want a sequel, that's fine. I don't want any part in that, and I don't think the actors would. But I just,
That's just the vibe I got from the film, and you're honestly talking me into raising this from a 4 to 4.5. But I'm gonna have to
I,
see it again for me to really definitively do that. But
the more I think about it, like I said, I'm going tomorrow night to see it again. And I'm actually gonna try to see it in VistaVision, which, if anybody's not familiar with that, I don't even know all the details, but VistaVision films don't get made in VistaVision that much anymore, and that style of projection, there's only very few theaters in the world that have it. Luckily, um, a theater near Boston has it, so I'm gonna try to check that out. But the more I've talked about this film in the last kind of hour and a half we've talked about it, I'm loving it even more and more. And I'm like, the more I think about the ending scene, man, I'm just trying to hold back tears because it kills me. Um, I mean, obviously, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it's like to be um, a father or a parent in that situation, but that scene, man, I just there's a lot of good scenes that have come out this year, like a lot of things in Sinners, and I this is not a podcast on Sinners, but there's a lot of things in Sinners I love, and some of those scenes will stay with me for the rest of my life. But I don't think a scene has made me this emotional since Interstellar, which Interstellar came out 10 years ago. So, I mean, we've talked about this a lot already. This is probably the longest review we've done on one film. But is there anything else you want to add, Jathan? Because I mean, I
you
feel
do
like I've
know we've recorded him earlier, right?
no, I know, but I'm I'm talking about you know
You said
a
one film.
no. I'm saying
Bro said, fuck him.
well, you know what I mean. Some episodes we've done double reviews on, but I feel like this one we've spent a good chunk of time on. Normally, I feel like
Oh,
we
for
divvy.
sure.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, is there anything else you want to talk about from one battle after another?
No, I think we yapped your ear off enough on that one.
Yeah.
But I think if you don't if you don't listen to that and think you should see this or not, leave a comment and tell us why, because we'd love to start the dialogue, and just leave your comment on what you thought about the film in general.
And hey, if you see this and you decide you don't like it, that's okay too. Do not feel like because you're seeing a lot of great reviews that you have to like it. At the end of the day, I think this movie is really important. Not just for movies, but for people in real life. But movies are art, they're subjective. If you don't like it, that's okay, and you can express those opinions. Don't feel like because you don't like something that you can't say you don't like it. I want people to feel comfortable because I know I don't even want to bring this up, but I know people that saw Sinners, not in my personal life, but like online, that felt like they couldn't say they didn't like it because obviously Sinners is a very pro-black movie. It shows the horrible like things with Jim Crow that went on and stuff like that. But if you don't like the movie, that's okay. It's art. If it didn't work for you, it didn't work for you. That's totally fine. So I want people to also understand that aspect too. Just because everybody else is loving it does not mean you have to love it.
Yeah, just start the dialogue. That's all I could really look for out of this podcast, honestly.
All right, I think we're ready for our next segment. I'm actually going to take my Bob Ferguson look off because I am sweating right now. But I hope people that watch this podcast thought it was fun. But I got to take the Bob look off.
Go for it.
Yeah.
I was wearing meta glasses at this shoot I did for work the other day, and it really threw me off when I took them off, because one, the lights in the building are insanely bright, and two, it just really was disorienting. But
The glasses weren't even the worst part. It's the fucking beanie and the and the robe. But okay, so yeah, um, I our last segment. I asked Jathan a while ago, but we finally decided to have it in this. podcast that we each picked 5 films from our letterbox, and so we're gonna be asking the other person, what is the rating of that film. So you have to get it right on the dot. So if it's a film that's a 4.5, but you say 4, that's incorrect. You have to get it correctly right. So we each have
Yep.
5 films. I don't know what he picked. He doesn't know what I picked, but whoever gets the most right out of 5 wins. So,
All right, my first guess for you, Nick, is
mhm.
The Town.
Okay. I know that this is a film that you watched fairly recently this year, and I know you didn't love it. Um, I'm gonna go with 3 star.
I'd say you're correct.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Okay, one
Do you
for
want to go?
one.
Do you want to go? Do you want to go back and forth, or do you want to do your 5 and I do my 5?
Let's do back and forth.
Okay, I like that. Yeah. So I'm gonna have it
Shot
written
for
down for.
shot. It's like we're playing
Yeah,
horse.
I'm gonna have it written down just to make sure. I'm gonna say my score, your score. So right now I got one. Okay, first film for Jathan to guess. Let me pull it up. Okay, what is my rating of La La Land?
La La Land is a 4.5.
That is incorrect. That was my original rating that I had when I first saw the film. My second watch, I dropped it to a 4.
You dropped it.
I dropped it to a 4.
Wow. Maybe that should be an episode.
Yeah. I think honestly, if I rewatch it again, it's gonna go back up. But as it
Why'd it
sits
drop?
today, it's 4. Um, I'm gonna get hate for this if people are watching at this point in the episode. I don't. This is gonna get me hate.
Let's
I
hear
don't.
this.
I don't like the relationship between Sebastian and Mia as much as most people do.
Okay. I think that's an interesting nitpick. I don't know why you would
Yeah,
drop it because of it, but okay.
I just don't. I think it's a little. And you know me, I like rom-coms. I like films that focus on relationships. Something about their relationship just didn't work for me on rewatch.
I don't hate that take, but it also didn't diminish the last scene where they're both looking at each other and they like share that, you know, knowledge
I
between
mean,
each other.
for me, it did a little bit.
All right. My next guess for you, Nick, is going to be Casino Royale.
Mm, this is interesting because I'm a big James Bond guy,
Yeah.
and I know you like this film a lot, but I don't know. I'm not saying this is not my final guess yet, but I think you're in the range of 4.5 to 5, but I'm not sure which one you're at. 'Cause I know you have a good amount of 5 stars, but not too many. I know you don't kind of frivolously give them out, and you haven't seen Casino Royale in a while. I think it's been a couple years.
A couple
I'm gonna go
years.
for an yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's what I'm guessing. I'm not sure.
I was checking. It said 2023.
Okay, cause I study your letterbox. You know I'm a letterbox merchant. I think you give Casino Royale a 4.5.
It's out of 4.
Oh, okay, all right. I almost went 5.
1 for 2.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, wasn't paying
Yeah.
attention. Okay, next, next is Call Me by Your Name, which I'm pretty sure you have seen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. What is my rating for Call Me by Your Name?
3.5.
Correct. That is correct. Yeah, 3.5, right on the dot.
I don't even
Do
like
you?
remember looking at that movie on your profile, but like I don't know. Maybe I just know you
I
too
think
well.
yeah, probably. I That film will go up on a rewatch. I know for sure it will. But yeah,
I'm
you're
surprised
right.
it
Yeah,
didn't fucking crush you, but
it crushed me. It did.
okay.
But I do need to rewatch.
That ending.
Hmm.
But your third one is Possession.
Oh, I know this because you just watched it. 4.5.
4.5 is correct.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's more so just because I think you recently watched it and it's just been in my head because I'm gonna be watching it soon as well.
All right.
Yep. So your third film to guess is Mean Girls.
Mean Girls.
Mhm. And we have talked about this before, so I wonder if you remember what I said about it.
I don't remember. I'm gonna say 4.5.
That is incorrect. It is a 3 star for me.
Okay.
I don't love it. I don't think it's a bad movie, but it definitely it's not my favorite.
Your next film, Transformers 2007.
Man, for as much as I love this movie, I don't think I've ever looked at your rating for it.
I think you have.
I don't know. It's nothing's popping out to me because I could see you giving this something high for nostalgia purposes because obviously this came out when we were kids, but I could also see you rewatching this recently and not liking it as much. I feel like this is a trick one for me. I'm gonna go 4. I'm gonna go 4 star.
It's a 3.
Wow. Wow. Did you rewatch it recently or no? Or is that what you just put the rating on?
I did this year, and I think you texted me about it, but like that was also almost a year ago. So yeah,
Wow.
I rewatched it, and I just felt like it did not like. It just felt very dated. I will say, like, there's some funny jokes in here for sure, but I just think it's very dated.
Man. I think it makes me more upset about the rating than me getting it wrong, but yeah. Okay. But we're on
Sorry.
to no, it's fine. I think we're on to number 4. Okay, so my number 4 is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, the first film. What is my rating?
It's a 5.
Yep. I felt like
A layup.
this was the easiest one, yeah. I have every Harry Potter film at so yeah, obviously J Thought knows me well. I love those movies.
Your final film is The Graduate.
Oh, and currently update on the score. It is 2-2. We both gotten 2 out of 4 right, so okay, your score of The Graduate. You are higher on this than me, and I'm at a 3.5. But I don't know if you're at a 5 or a 4.5. I'm gonna go 4.5.
Let me check. I actually
Oh,
don't know.
don't switch it on me. I know you're definitely higher than me.
It's at a 5.
Damn.
You can
Yeah.
check it.
I remember. No, I believe you. I believe you. I knew it was high. I knew it was either 4.5 or because I remember when you watched it. I remember saying to you that I like it, but I do need to rewatch.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah. So all right, you have the opportunity to win the game right here. My last film is Clueless. What is my rating of Clueless?
Fuck. I actually have no clue.
I will say this for a hint. We talked about it on this podcast before.
I think Clueless is a 4.
That is incorrect. It is a 2.5. I really don't like this movie. Um, we brought it up because I think it was it in your top 10 for high school films.
Yeah. I want to say so.
Yeah, I think when you brought it up, I said like I appreciate that people like it, but it just doesn't work for me. But I think since we both tied, I think we should try to pick one more film and see who can get the third point.
All right.
I'm gonna pull up. I'm just gonna go on the films I've seen and randomly scroll and pick one. And I'll try to get a film that you are aware of. I'm not gonna get something crazy.
All right.
Okay, I got mine. If you're ready for yours,
Yeah. Who's
you want me
shooting
to say mine
first?
first? I'll go first if you want me to.
Go for it.
Okay, mine is 2017's It. What is my rating?
It's a 5.
It's a 4.
I know you
Close, but
like
yeah,
that one.
yeah, I definitely like it a lot. It definitely has some problems, but yeah, I still love it a lot.
I'm gonna go with The Social Network.
That's a 5.
5 is correct.
Yeah, I think that was easier because recent watch, but yeah, that was pretty good. You got me with the Transformers one. I didn't know. I mean, 3 is not a horrible rating, but I didn't know you had it that. I thought you had a lot of nostalgia for that one.
I did, but I think my opinions about the movie changed. But
I can't even imagine what you would rate the second film, which is in my top 4 on Letterboxd. You would probably give that film a if you give the first one 3.
no, but the first one isn't even my favorite out of the Transformers.
Which one is Dark of the Moon?
I think it is part 3.
Yeah. But yeah,
Something
that
about the
was
part 3s, man.
I mean I love them all. I have the first 3 at 5 stars. I watch them every single year. I can't get enough. But yeah, that was a fun little game segment. If you have any other ideas for games like that, drop in the comments below because we're always looking for to shake things up and do some fun stuff like that. But yeah, I think that's all we got for episode number 7. Jathan, if there anything you want to add before we're signing off here?
Nah, I think that'll wrap it up for 7. Thanks for checking us out, and we'll see you next week.
See you.